Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason here on this Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday. Jason had to remind me. I thought it was Monday all day today. Of course, Memorial Weekend, and if we haven't said it, God bless all the people that have laid down their lives for this country. And I'll just say this. It's my hope that it's not all for naught. I really hope that is the case. Some days, it's a little harder some days than others to think that we're going in the right direction out there. But thank you to all of the people that have made the ultimate sacrifice and obviously for their families as well. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And again, I've been trying to educate everybody out there, trying to warn you about what's coming. We've had obviously it's been a very good year for gold and silver. It's just the beginning. It looks like we've got a big rally going on. Well, today really started yesterday, even though our markets were closed. In both the new higher high, so 2,300 is now kind of the low support level on gold. Gold right now almost 2,360, so kind of going back to new record highs, approaching new record highs. Silver, we saw the breakout above 30. And we were like, hey, it'd be really great if it could hold 31. It didn't. It ended up 30. It held 30, and then, man, it's off to the races. It's been between, say, $31.75 and $32 pretty much all morning this morning. So a huge power rally in the silver markets. Congratulations to all the people that bought on that Maple Leaf deal. What it meant. I mean, you ended up 2 days later, it's below spot, all of you. So great job there. Listen, when we have these specials, and you'll know when we really tell you, hey, this is the one, back up the bus and load it up and stack it up. It's a short week, but we got a lot of stuff. We got GDP this week. We've got a lot of Fed governors talking. Matter of fact, Neil Kashkari was already out talking about, I need a lot more months to decide about inflation. What that just says is, yeah, you know what? We haven't been right yet, right? I mean, that's all that says. It's still not going low enough, but the big number. And again, could we be at a record high this week in gold? It's very possible. Could we see a much higher silver price? Now, we don't know. Silver, kind of the dark horse here. You know, it hasn't been above 30 very often in its history. We know in the short squeeze, you know the famous Hunt brothers and quartering the silver market. Silver, hit $50. What was I think like 1980, something like that, right? Silver hit a high of $50. It's only been since that peak. It only crossed 30 one other time. And of course, that was, after the financial crisis. And when it crossed 30 that time, in about 10 weeks, it went from 30 to 50. And then right back down, they changed some margin requirements and then send it right back down. And once it finally got back below 30, we hadn't seen it again until last week. Now, the difference this time around is that was largely a paper silver event. That was the ETFs. And remember, the ETFs were new back then. Kind of like the Bitcoin ETFs. It's very, very, very new. And so it kind of took on a life of its own. This time, there really isn't a lot of ETF action. You'd almost say it doesn't exist. It's been a negative. This is a physical problem in both gold and silver. This is a physical demand thing. Well, watch this. Are we going to see another event like this where we see silver move very quickly? And the only reason why we talk about it, Jason, because this is a lot of computers do the trading. They write these algorithms, and they always say, if it breaks this, go to that, right? And then if it breaks that, go to this. Now let's go back and test. Right? Let's make sure, it held support. Okay, now go to the next level. So there's not a lot of interference, I guess is my point. I think we'll see $35 silver very quickly. Whether or not we go to 40 and 50, it's not, I guess, out of the realm of possibilities. As a matter of fact, you could see a certain thing. We have PCE inflation data Friday. They actually expect this to be the lowest monthly increase in inflation in the year. They actually expect it to go down. This is one of those things where the Fed, well, let's not count this. Let's not count anything that counts as inflation. But, Jason, we get a weaker inflation number here. We could definitely see a big rally in gold and silver this week.
Let's see what happens for sure. When gold went on that rally from late February to April, we said, well, watch out. It looks like maybe in June it'll do it again, and June is Saturday, so we're coming to the end of quarter two of the year, and we'll see what happens, right, Joe?
That's it. We'll watch it all together. Patriot Radio News Hour will be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Tuesday. A quick look in at the markets. Right now, gold's up 23.58. Silver right now is up $1.50. Now, other places, got to remember, our markets were closed yesterday. They were opened everywhere else. So, but the pricing is where we're at right now. Silver's up $1.53. 31.85, 31.86. It's been as high as $32 this morning. Copper's higher. Quick look here at Wall Street. The Dow is down 140, back below 39,000, 38,000 and change. The S&P's pretty flat. The NASDAQ up 76. It's all NVIDIA on the NASDAQ. The 10-year note, 449 on the 10-year note. The Japanese yen yielding over 1% for the first time. I'd have to check. I don't know how long. It's been a long time since the yen has had a number above 1% there on their 10-year note. Crude oil's up $1.80. Word is there is a Greek flagged cargo ship. It was had 80,000 tons of cargo. I don't know what the cargo was. They haven't said. I don't think it was oil, but it looks like it has been hit by the Houthis and is taking on water. So the ship may actually sink, which has gotten crude prices rising a bit, and we're also going to hear from OPEC. A lot of stuff happening. We've got the Beige Book tomorrow. OPEC looks like they're going to, once again, keep production either at its current level or go a little lower. And then, of course, like we said, the Japanese currency, we're watching that 157. So even that, not that 1% is a high yield, but not doing a lot to save that currency. And we keep talking about getting more diversified for this one, right? We've learned a lesson, right? We learned a lesson during the financial crisis. Really, the first one was the dot-com bubble, right? Then the financial crisis. Now we're getting ready for this next bubble. By the way, wait till you hear what Janet Yellen had to say over the week. She's been, all of a sudden, man, what a different tune. Apparently, she can just reverse course and nobody says a word. I've been warning about, she is a dangerous, dangerous person out there. being more diversified is going to be key here. It just is. It's going to be key. That's why we keep telling you, if you've got $50,000 or more, maybe you got a big IRA somewhere, maybe you got too much money in the bank, whatever it is, check out Why Refi. Why should I do that? You know, Wall Street's done pretty good. It's a 38,000 and change. The Nasdaq's almost 17,000. The S&P 5,300 because it's a bubble. You know it, and I know it. We all know it. And we know what happens now, don't we, when these bubbles burst? And this is what's coming. It's pretty simple. You get up to 10.25% fixed rate of return. What does that mean? That means it's the same. It means it doesn't change. But what if this happens? What if that happens? What? No. It doesn't change. You know exactly what you're going to get every month. If you want to use it for income, supplement your income. Maybe I'm getting ready to retire. Hey, that'd be kind of nice, right? I can use it as income. You can compound it. You can do whatever you want. There's no fees. It's a pretty cool thing, too. Americans helping Americans that the banks have crapped on. Yeah, it's a great thing. Check them out. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com. Or just call them at 888-YREFI24. 888-YREFI24. So last week, Janet Yellen said, oh, okay, well, yeah, maybe there's some inflation, right? She's been talking about, remember, she was a big cheerleader with Jay Powell. Oh, it's just transitory. Don't worry. Let's go big. Remember the deficits? Let's go big, huge, and lack of price discovery. What do I mean by that? Janet Yellen, as she's been Treasury, the Treasury Secretary, she's been playing games in the Treasury markets. Matter of fact, a lot of people have called her out more than once when interest rates were zero. Why wouldn't you lock in long term? Right? Think about it this way for us. This is the equivalent. 3% mortgages were out there. And you instead decided to get an ARM. Right? So you could pay a little less. I got to pay 2.5%, but in 5 years, I gotta do something else. But I want to pay a little less right now, instead of locking it in for 30 years. That's what Janet Yellen has been doing at the Treasury. She didn't want to sell long-dated Treasuries then. Why? Because she wanted the rate to be as low as possible. Well, guess what? Now we've got this avalanche of debt, and she's still doing it. She just says, nope, I'm just going to keep loading up short term. I'm going to make rates look lower than they really are. Right? Why? Because they don't want price discovery. Then she told us it was fine. Borrow all the money you want. It's free. Well, it's not free anymore, is it? Over the weekend, she told Bloomberg that higher interest rates over the long haul are now making it tougher for the U.S. borrowing needs and heightens the importance of boosting revenue in negotiations with Republican lawmakers. So what does that mean? Jason, Janet Yellen says, hey, get ready. We got to start raising taxes. I mean, that's the only way you boost revenue, isn't it?
Tax. That's all the government doesn't run a business. Their income is taxing. They're into business. They take some of that money that they print and they pay it to their military industrial complex or whatever corporations that they're subsidizing. But that's it, Joe. The only way they really bring money in is taxes. I mean, I saw a thing on California. McDonald's is thinking about just rooting up and just leaving California altogether. Well, because of taxes. And Gavin Newsom lost $24 billion as he's risen the taxes and risen the minimum wage. The irresponsibility that's going on is mind-boggling. And you're right, Joe. When all this stuff is going on, the only answer that government has is, well, let's just bring in more revenue. Tax, right?
Well, and something else. Get ready. We've been talking about June. Yeah, it happened a few weeks early. Then again, I don't think it's even happened yet. So let's just say that as far as the move in gold and silver, they coincidentally raised the interest rate forecast on Friday afternoon. Well, what does that mean? Oh, all the deficit numbers we've been getting from the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, we should just get rid of that. Because all they're allowed to do is use the data that the Fed and the Treasury give them. They can't say, well, that's ridiculous. Look, you can't say 3% or 2% on 10-year notes. I mean, no one believes that, but that's what they got to use. All of a sudden, over the weekend now, the projections for U.S. government debt just got bigger. Right, because we got to pay a lot more interest. She said to Bloomberg, this does make a difference. You think? Yeah, you think it might make a difference? We got $35 trillion in debt. Well, really, it's $42 trillion, but let's be real. So, yeah, higher interest rates, yeah, that's going to make a really big difference. It makes it more challenging to keep deficits and interest expense under control. Those are not words you want to hear from your Treasury Secretary when she's saying, well, we had to raise our forecast. In other words, rates are going to be a lot higher, and we're going to have a problem with being able to pay our debts. And so even now, ready for this, the soaring interest rates are a key reason they're saying the fiscal picture has worsened. And now they're saying that a Treasury note, here's the new projection. It's going to be 3.7% by 2030. So instead of we're at a fake 4.5%, it's going to go down to 3.7%. But to give you an idea of the difference, you know what it was up until Friday? 2.8. That's a whole point higher. And you're like, well, God, it's only 1 point. I mean, come on. 3.7, 2.8, that's not that much, Joe. You know what that equates to? Hundreds of billions of dollars every single year. And really, I mean, you're talking about, hey, they just added about $500 million a year to the national debt going forward, Jason.
Yeah, there's lots of tricks they're gonna play, Joe. And just listening to this is painful because I know that the inflation's not stopped and it looks like it's going to get worse. I was just started looking into something. I'll see if we could talk about it maybe later this show or maybe tomorrow. But the Treasury buyback program. Have you seen this, Joe? They're gonna start buying back their own treasuries to add liquidity. It's kind of like quantitative easing times 2. They did this 2 decades ago for a while. They haven't brought it back, and apparently this is the Treasury sort of getting tired of the Fed. Seems like there's a little bit of infighting going on.
Well, listen, if you're not going to do it, we'll do it, right? Either way, I mean, right, left pocket, right pocket, does it really matter if the Fed or the Treasury does it? So when I was describing earlier, that's Twist. Remember Operation Twist? Janet Yellen's been doing that already. Now listen, they're going to have to bring out all the guns, right? We're just essentially going to play this string out. This is the plan. Now, she's talked about they're going to be opening up tax negotiations. Yes, we're getting ready for that, and we're going to start suggesting some spending cuts. What are they going to cut spending on? That's what I want to know. Are they going to cut Social Security? No. Medicare, Medicaid gets really ugly next year. Huge increases coming. They got a little reprieve this year. Wait till next year. The hospitals, the insurance companies are like, man, you guys got us on that one. Okay, and it's only a every year thing. People don't realize that, so a lot can change there. But you're not going to cut that. Defense? I mean, guys, we're talking about World War III. We ain't cutting that. Interest on the debt? Gosh, you can't cut that. Jason, there's nothing left. If you got rid of everything else, right, you just stop paying judges, stop paying our elected officials, stop funding schools, stop the energy, all these departments, got rid of the CIA, the FBI, got rid of it all. I mean, you're only talking like $1 trillion or so. I mean, it's such an insignificant amount that's actually left. And, of course, with interest cost exploding, it just makes it more and more difficult. I don't know how it's going to work. I really don't. Well, I do. That's a lie. I just lied. I know exactly how it's going to work. The debt bomb comes. The big crash happens. And here comes the digital currency, which somehow is going to save us. Jason, we know that's the plan. Unfortunately, you get wiped out during all of that. That's what really happens. Patriot Radio News Hour. That's why we tell you, get diversified and do it. Do it quickly. 800-951-0592. 800-951-0592. Gold's up 25, 23.59, 23.60. Silver up $1.60, 31.94 right now on silver. Today's special, we had a customer call Friday and was like, man, you guys always running the libs. You never run the Saints on special. Can I get the same price on the Saints as we were running? Remember, we were running the libs at $25.50 on Friday. And there's just not as many Saints. That's really the reason. There's just not as many of them out there. Right now, gold's up $25, but I've got 75 Saints. So that's the $20, right? Teddy Roosevelt didn't think the Lady Liberty was majestic enough of a coin because America was a superpower now. See, we were a superpower before the Fed ever came around. Believe me, we became a superpower without it. We're going to lose our superpower status with it. That's what's going to happen. But neither here nor there. I've got 75 Saints. Even with gold up $25, I'm going to hold the price. $2,550. You're talking about like $190 over spot, which that's like 8% over spot, Jason. That's a great price when you really look at what gold has been doing, what we're talking about gold doing. I mean, if you're saying to me, hey, where's gold going to end this year? Probably $2,700 to $3,000, just depends. I'm on the lower end of that. I think the big move comes next year. That's just me. I really think next year gets really ugly. But if you're looking to add to your gold holdings, $20 Saints, we don't run them very often. $2,550 today at 800-951-0592. I mean, Silver Eagles today, $825 a roll. $half if you're looking at silver. $270. I really like $half right now. I think the premiums are really low on $half right now. If you're looking at it, because I get it. A lot of people are like, Silver Eagles are easy, right? They're all 1 ounce coins, and the dimes and the silver, silver dimes and silver quarters, they add up. But these silver $half, you got to remember when the premiums got ridiculous on Silver Eagles, and then the silver half dollars followed suit. I mean, there was a time during COVID where half dollars were more expensive than silver eagles. I love them here, Jason, at $2.70 a roll.
Yeah, when it comes to per ounce of silver price, the old Morgan and Peace dollars have a high premium because there's a lot of people, that's the only silver they buy. Half dollars are our next in line to do the same thing. More expensive than silver eagles, Joe. And there is one difference between the half dollars, the quarters, and the dimes, the silver dollars than the silver eagles. They're still cranking out these silver eagles every year, and they can't crank out any more of the junk silver. And on the St. Gaudens, that's really cool if you can get these. Joe's right; it was a Teddy Roosevelt thing. Teddy Roosevelt wrote a letter to the Treasury asking for Augustus St. Gaudens to design a more beautiful coin. Teddy Roosevelt wanted a nicer looking coin. He thought that our coins were boring, and he wanted something like what Europe was making. And he in the letter he called the coinage of America of an atrocious hideousness. And he actually wrote that in the letter. You can actually look it up and read this letter to the Treasury and into the Congress. And he wanted to get rid of coins that were of an atrocious hideousness, which I think is funny because I think the Liberty design is just fine, but it was a design that was there for many years. I think maybe it was more boring than it was atrocious hideousness, but you got the changes. You got the Indian designs in, and you got the St. Gaudens design, and suddenly Abraham Lincoln was on the penny, and there was a buffalo nickel, and all this other stuff was going on, and coins became a little more exciting.
Well, I'll tell you what. I just changed my mind. I just put half dollars on sale, $2.60. So now you can buy half dollars for the same as you can buy silver quarters, 2 rolls of silver dimes, $10 face, 20 half dollars, $260 for a roll of halves. And then, of course, when you look at the St. Gaudens here today, $2,550. Gold's now up almost $26, so $23.61. Silver's just hit silver just hit 32.02, so above 32, up $1.69 right now on silver. So, man, look out. The run is coming. 800-951-0592. And, it really is going to be interesting, especially now Friday. They're adding a whole percent to the interest on the debt, which jacks up the debt by almost $500 billion just by going 1% because we have so much of it. And Jason, when we look at this, the Treasury now saying, "Hey, listen, we're already in Operation Twist. We will be prepared to buy back our Treasury." Of course, the Treasury, I don't know how they buy it back without any money, but then again, that never stopped the Fed from doing it either. But remember, starting next week, the Fed only sells $25 billion worth of treasuries a month. And I don't think that survives the summer. I think that by the end of summer, you're going to see the Treasury or the Fed stop all quantitative easing when it comes to the Treasury market because, Jason, again, overwhelming supply without overwhelming demand naturally causes rates to go higher. And that's kind of a problem because the Fed is talking about we need to lower rates. And are we going to end up in a situation, when they're talking about, a quarter point, maybe a couple guys still saying a half a point between now and the end of the year? Rates may not fall at all with that small of a cut. Right.
And like I said earlier, you've got the Treasury buyback program. You got a Federal Reserve head in our Treasury. I'm sure working hand in hand with the Federal Reserve, trying to, because Joe, we've been talking how long? Well, can they really drop rates with inflation coming up? Well, they got these little tricks they play, right, Joe, to make it look the way they need it to look. And I think the Fed really desperately wants to drop the rates a quarter point. I don't know what that's going to do for sure, Joe, as far as the markets are concerned. Is that really going to be enough to help them? I don't think so. But is it going to be enough to really spur inflation to be even worse, right, Joe?
Yeah, right now they're saying $2 billion per operation weekly. Uh-oh. That's not a good sign. To try to improve liquidity in the Treasury markets. Patriot Radio News Hour. Yeah, no wonder why gold's running. 800-951-0592. We got two lines open still right now. We should have no lines open. I'm telling you. I don't know what you're waiting for. I know. Y'all want to go on vacation, right? School's out, right? We're going to go to San Diego. We're going to go to Mission Beach, Newport Beach, maybe Pismo Beach. Some of you maybe want to brave going to Mexico. I wouldn't, but maybe you do. You're going to go somewhere nice, do all that stuff. I get it. But this isn't going to wait. This isn't going to wait here. Gold, 23.63. Keeps going here. Keeps going. $20 Saints, 2,550. Remember, we only had 75, so that's not going to last. Silver, now up $1.80, 32.13 and rising. Silver $half rolls at 260. 800-951-0592. So the Treasury is now going to try to provide liquidity into the Treasury market. Right now, they're going to start with a couple of $1 billion a week and then another $500 million in the TIPS market. But they're saying, here's why they're doing it. That the problem is they're starting to have trouble selling treasuries at prevailing rates. You know what they want it to be, right? Again, they don't want price discovery. They don't want price discovery. Remember when we talk about the Treasury and I've been about tails, right? Long tails are bad because that means the market's saying, hey, we're not buying that at that price. We need a bigger discount. We need a bigger discount. In other words, you need to pay us more interest if you want us to buy these treasuries. This is what's happening in the markets right now. They're saying that this will provide market makers with certainty that there will be an end buyer that will come into the market that is willing to buy dislocated securities along the curve for a price. Boy, that's fancy words. What is that? What does that mean? It'll provide market makers with certainty. In other words, hey guys, we don't want you to bail on the market because if the market makers don't have certainty, what are they going to do with rates? We don't want you to do that. So we're going to come in and we're going to be a fake buyer in the market for you. The rapid growth of the Treasury market. Let me give you an idea of how bad it's become since 2008. So since the financial crisis, remember, they didn't fix anything. Right? I use my Big Daddy analogy on this. Right? If you ever saw the movie Big Daddy with Adam Sandler, right? Here he gets this kid. The kid wets the bed. He puts newspaper down. The kid spills the milk, puts the newspaper down. The kid throws up. He puts newspaper down, right? He's just covering it up. He's not actually washing the sheets. He's not picking up the milk or the throw up. No, we're just going to cover it up. That's what they've done with our financial system. How bad has it gotten? It's quadrupled. Our Treasury market has quadrupled since 2008, and saying that they've now caused the functions the worst in decades as far as Treasury market functionality. Big banks have retreated because, Jason, they don't want to get involved in this because they know how they can do math. Hey, There's not enough liquidity here. We're not setting the price. We don't want to get caught with these things. And now, all of a sudden, here comes these schemes to try to set up a fake price. And even with these schemes, Janet Yellen had to raise how much interest the United States is going to have to pay on its debts, Jason. This is not a good thing. This is probably the biggest driver of what's been driving the gold price this morning and the silver price this morning.
And, man, is it going, right? Is it moving? We already had the pressure of inflation pushing metals higher, and I'm looking at this commodities rally we've been seeing the last couple of months. Add that to what you just said, the pressures from everything from geopolitical to the federal government to the inflation. It's really a good time to jump on. If you've got the resources, this is the time to buy this stuff, Joe, because like you said, next year might be a bigger hit uprising for gold and silver than this year, Joe.
I just saw this. I don't know how I missed this. It gets worse. The Treasury has also informed the dealers that they will increase the borrowing sizes as soon as August. So here we go again. Remember, the Treasury has been continually adding to how much debt the United States needs to sell. And again, right, we get a little reprieve from April 15th, tax collection. Now all of a sudden, as early as August, get ready. And what we normally see is every 3 months, they raise it again. So August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, up tax collection time. Okay, we can go 3 months without raising it. This is not good. This was something that they were hoping to avoid, making this announcement and then having to say, oh, by the way, in August, the auction sizes are going to get even bigger. Patriot Radio News Hour. Yeah, hang on. The debt tsunami is coming. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason wrapping up this Tuesday, short week with the Memorial holiday. But wow, what an announcement out of the Treasury Department. Mm-hmm. This is something, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it does in this regard. Listen, it will help the banks, the, quote, market makers. But obviously, this is way ahead of plan. Because first you would have thought, well, let's just end quantitative tightening first. Right? I mean, let's just do that first before we have to do this. But they couldn't. And now, on top of that, by the way, the auction size has got to go up again in August. I think that's probably, you know what, Jason, why do I get the feeling, will quantitative tightening end in August? I mean, is that what's going to happen here? I don't know, but it sure looks that way.
The Treasury buyback program, just here's a short paragraph. If the Treasury markets can't be reined in, the Fed expands its balance sheet by buying those Treasury securities to add liquidity and stability. These open market operations are usually the money printing that people are talking about happening at the Fed. Quantitative easing, QE, refers to specifically the operations where the Fed is buying other assets beyond just Treasury securities, such as in 2008 and during COVID. But the Treasury, buying back its own issued debt, is in essence quantitative easing by another name. This Treasury buyback program, which was announced late last week when nobody was paying attention, is specifically trying to sop up a big mess that's been made, Joe. And I think what I'm hearing is, well, let's buy back the 0% interest stuff that nobody can sell because everybody wants this higher interest debt. They don't want that stuff that's dying, Joe. They're trying to trim the dead wood off the tree, I guess. And what money are they going to do that with? They're going to borrow more, Joe.
It's not. This isn't good news at all. And the part that really is bad is the fact that I think it makes sense right? If you're a financial institution and obviously the government, because, well, gosh, these Treasury, we keep talking about how bad these auctions are. But the fact that they had to do it before quantitative tightening even came to an end, the fact that they have to do it and announce at the same time that we're going to have to increase auction sizes again in August, and I promise you that it's going to go up again in December. Mark my words. This is not good. This is great for gold and silver. This is great for them. $20 Saints today, $2,550. And then rolls of silver $0.50 on sale all the way down at $260 at 800-951-0592. And Jason, I think this kind of looks like now here's where we're looking for the next leg. Right, which now all of a sudden auction sizes have to go up again in August. I think that's probably when quantitative tightening ends. I think that's also when they're going to expect help from the Fed. Hey, Fed, you need to help us here. We need a rate cut just to keep these markets operating smoothly. We're worried about banks. We're talking about little banks, itty-bitty banks. And we're talking about allegedly the most liquid market in the world, all of a sudden saying, yeah, we got liquidity problems. 800-951-0592. Jason and I, we're coming right back with the Half Empty Cup.